Did your hunt suck because your gear let you down? We're going to give you our proven gear that hasn't failed. If you're tired of the gear you paid your hard-earned money on letting you down at the time you need it most, we will step by step walk you through everything you need to be successful.
That's right. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Let's Assess. And it's BC and AJ back with another episode. One of the most important things that you need to do before hunting, whether you live in the middle of the elk or you live way far away, is get prepared. And obviously there's a lot of things you need to get prepared, and that's a lot of the fun of hunting, with it only being a week a year for a lot of people. So something that we wanted to get on here and talk about is we need you, or we would like for everyone to know what they need to bring to their hunt to be safe and successful at it. And so we're kind of going to dive in here and show you guys what we bring. And it's not just a bunch of BS. This is safety stuff. This is personal stuff that we like to have up there through, the years of hunting. And then this is the hunting stuff that you need for when you kill an animal, or hopefully improving your success of killing an animal, as well as I'm going to briefly talk about the camera gear that I personally take on hunts. A lot of people ask me about that, and so I'm going to dive into that a little bit as well. So stick around, and here we go.
Look, I don't want to talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft.
So we're going to jump in and kind of tell you guys about our backpack setups. Obviously, to get the stuff in and out of the backcountry efficiently, we can't stuff a ton of stuff in our pockets. We need a bag to carry it. So we're going to go through our backpacks, through our backpack setups, and basically everything that we would carry. Obviously, if you're doing different types of hunts, this is subject to change, but this is just kind of the basic stuff that we carry when it comes to our styles of hunting. If you're going to go on a 10-day hunt, obviously the stuff you carry is going to be different, and we can go over that in a later podcast. But this is what we do. So for me, it's maybe a couple days. I'm not going to include camping gear in this. We can do that in another video. But this is what I could get away with for a couple days, and for a basically long, strenuous day hunts. And with AJ,
it's more of like, day hunting, guiding. So I'm kind of go over both of what I do. I don't do a lot of like stay in the backcountry hunts. I do have a pack for that if I need to. So the pack frame system that I have bought is the Kuiu Pro. And so that it comes with the carbon fiber frame, and then you can add whatever bag onto it, side bags, however you want to outfit it, you can outfit it. So that's the route I went. Just got the frame, and then I got a couple different bags. Right now, I've got the 2300 cubic bag on it right now. So I'll just kind of hold that up right here. That's the size of it right there. And then you got the frame with the good pads and everything on it. And it's the Pro 2300 bag. I also have the 7000, and it's in cubic inches is what that is. So that's how much, stuff you can pack in there. I like the 2300 because it's small and you can kind of like clamp it in tight for your day pack. That way when you're walking through brush and stuff, you're not grabbing on a bunch. You're not really wiggling around on you. What I don't necessarily love about it is it doesn't have a specified pouch for when you do kill something to pack a quarter out or your meat or whatever. So when I kind of get into that, I'll kind of tell you guys what I do with that pack. But that is the pack that I've chose to use. I had another pack that it worked good for me, but I really like the way this fits better and it's more comfortable. Wouldn't say it's the best thing for packing out, but it's definitely more for the hunting when you're in the hunt that I enjoy it. So that's when I'm hunting myself. I'm packing my rifle, my spotting scope, all that stuff. Usually I use that backpack. Otherwise, as a guide, I don't like having all that stuff on me unless I have, because sometimes I have to wear the hunter's backpack because they don't necessarily, want to wear it or whatever. And so all I wear is just a bino harness. I'll hold that up here. It's a Alaskan Guide Creations, and it's just a small little guy. It's got a pocket here. You got some pockets up here. You got another pocket on the back here, and then you got little side storage here. So I'll kind of just run through what I run in this real quick, and then we'll jump back into the pack. So down here, I kind of carry my essentials. I'll pull them out and go over it. I run a Havalon knife, changeable blades. I can usually gut, skin, completely take care of an animal with this if need be. I always pack flagging tape. I think you should have flagging tape in your backpack and your bino harness for when you get something down, you can mark blood. You can always get back to where your last spot was, or even at night, you can find your way back to wherever, once you're looking at the blood, you really can lose track of where you're at. So you can look back and be like, oh, there's the tape, follow the tape back. Tape's a very key thing safety wise, I feel like. And then I've just got a cow elk call in there as well. So that's the bottom pouch there. And then on the sides, I got a lens cleaner for optics. Your hunter will drop their gun or set their gun down or something to get dirty. Rain on your lenses, you can get the dust off. Then I also got the rain pouch for the bino harness in there as well if it does start raining. And then the most important thing, the windicator. You cannot hunt without this. I don't feel like that's the most important thing to have on you. So that right there is my light and dirty. And then of course binoculars are in there, and then I've got the rangefinder binoculars to where it's all in one. Otherwise you could have your rangefinder attachment on the bottom or on the side, wherever you would choose that. So that's the bino harness I run, and that's kind of my go-to guide setup. For in the backpack, and this stuff goes with me if I'm hunting or sometimes when we're doing a bigger hike with hunters as a guide, just because you're going to be spending more time in there. I'll have my water in there, my food in there for the day or whatever. And then I think I'll start with some safety stuff here that I carry. So I carry a first aid kit, number one, just a normal size first aid kit. You can get it anywhere essentially. And it's got most everything you're going to need. And then the things that I add to it, just from a guiding standpoint, is I always have a tourniquet. So tourniquet, you never know when you're going to need it. You never know what you're going to need it for, but you can use it for a lot of different things, not necessarily even, for a limb or something like that. If you don't know how to use one, you can definitely do a lot of damage with one too. So educate yourself on one if you're going to pack a tourniquet. The other thing that I pack is a Zoleo. That way I can communicate to the outside world where there isn't service. A lot of the places where you do hunt, there is no service. So that's a very important thing. I feel like whether it's getting a text out to the people that you know or are around, or even getting to the local authorities with the SOS. Brent's going to go over kind of what he uses, but I use the Zoleo, the price point for it, and it just connects right to your phone. You can send text messages right out to anybody.
Through satellite.
Through satellite, yep.
So you don't need service anywhere in the world. Like I've been in the Alaskan bush with the device I'm going to go over, and you can send text messages or call SOS.
Yep. So I think it's like, and especially a lot of us, like me, I work out where there isn't service. When I hunt out where there isn't service, I ride snowmobiles out where there isn't service. This is like a go-to must-have for me. Just anymore, we rely upon having that connectivity, and you just have to have it, I feel like. So that's another.
Do you have a model on that for the people that are listening?
They just have one model. So
okay.
You just go to Zoleo, and this is the only one they sell. I don't know what the exact prices are nowadays. When I bought this, it was like $200 for this. And then it's like, I want to say like $20 a month or something. And you can send like 30 text messages off it or something, but you don't find yourself sending a ton of text messages off of them. It doesn't seem like. So, I carry pyro putty as, a fire starter. You never know what you're going to get into. I have matches that I seal in a Ziploc baggie, and then multiple lighters that I have in that first aid kit. I don't have that first aid kit with me tonight. I wish I did, but I have that in there. And then I also add in that first aid kit, I have aspirin and an EpiPen. So aspirin, I deal with a lot of older age hunters, and I mean, it can even happen to younger age hunters. But if someone starts having a heart attack, you can get them some aspirin in them. It's a blood thinner, and you can get their blood thinned to, hopefully save their life and get them out of there. An EpiPen, you're out. Me and Brent here have horrible allergies, so
I never have them until we're hunting.
Yeah,
it's nowhere in Colorado. I mean, here and there they'll be, but they're during hunting season in the zone that we hunt. My eyes are swollen shut the entire time.
Yep. So there's something out in the field that obviously aggravates him, and I'm the same. I know it's sagebrush and greasewood, and that's the stuff that kills me. But so I know I'm going to be crawling around in that stuff all the time. So I pack that EpiPen in there, and then not just for me, but if anybody else were to need it, I got to have it for them. It's definitely a life-saving tool. You can usually get one from your doctor. Just be like, hey, this is what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm going to encounter, and you can usually get insurance to cover those. So EpiPens are huge, I think.
So what that does, if I'm not mistaken, an EpiPen injects adrenaline into you, right?
Yep.
Which counters the allergic reaction.
Yep.
Okay.
So it'll buy you 30 minutes to an hour or something like that to get yourself out, because it'll counter that allergic reaction and, let you be able to survive.
If your throat's swelling shut or whatever.
Exactly. You don't want to use it unless you absolutely have to, but if your throat is swelling shut, then you're going to die or use it, you got to do it. So, other things, so that's kind of like all the safety stuff that I pack in there. Another thing that I started packing for, kind of to get back to the flag tape, because I got that flag tape in the backpack as well, is glow sticks. You can hang those glow sticks. I got a pack of like 10, from the dollar store, and I just have them in the bottom of my bag. And it's a source of light. It's not a ton of light, but it is light. And you can hang them in trees, and that can be like, if it's getting dark and you're having a hard time, your flashlights are dying or whatever. For some reason, I always have my flashlights going dead when I need them. That's always my thing.
Well, me
so
too.
If you have glow sticks hanging in the trees, that's your trail back. That's something my dad taught me, that, it's one of those.
That's a
things.
good deal.
It's super light. You don't even know they're in your bag, and they can really save your ass sometimes. So that kind of wraps up the safety stuff. Some of the other stuff that I just have in there with me, parachute cord. I always have a brand new roll, and I have another one that's like I use off of for tying stuff into the pack or whatever, but I always have a brand new one in there for survival or whatever you may need it for. It's handy for tying stuff to your pack, whether it be if you get one down, you can help tie it to it so it's not so loose on your back or whatever. Or maybe you have a guy with you that doesn't have a pack, you can make a makeshift backpack out of it, whatever. There's so much stuff you can do with this. So that's a must have. One thing that I think a lot of hunters forget to have is a pin. As soon as you kill, you need to have that tag filled out. So as a guide, I have to have this pin with me. So I don't carry it in the bino harness, but I do have it in the backpack. That way, if I have the backpack with me and we're far away from the truck, I can always have that pin in ready for them. I pack a Sharpie as well. You never know if you got to write a note on a piece of bark, whatever. Sharpie, always a good thing to have with you.
Another thing is for the tourniquet.
Yeah, and you could spin it. You could make a tourniquet if you had to, whatever. It's always good to have those.
And what they tell you too is with the tourniquet, when you put it on someone's, say, arm or whatever, and you twist it, you're supposed to write down the time that it went on.
Yeah, and that's this one here. Let me find. Oh, there it is. It has on the backside in there, on it itself, it has the time that you can write it on there. So it's ready for that. And Sharpie would probably be the best thing to write there for sure. Right. So definitely a go-to thing. Some other things that I always carry: wet wipes. No one wants chafing when you're out there. Yeah. So wet wipes. Oh, it's amazing. If you haven't, you gotta try it.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
It's a good thing.
And then I have been using these reusable game bags. This is just a 2-pack here, but I've been a big fan of the reusable. I use them, and then I can throw them in the laundry machine. I just use them by themselves in the laundry machine, clean them up good, and then I always got to run the washing machine again so the wife doesn't get mad. But just an empty load, so clean it up good. But those amazing. You're always throwing them away or whatever, and the other ones kind of tear sometimes when you're picking up and when you get a hind end off an elk or something like that. So I like the reusable. They're a little tougher, seem durable. The other thing I pack is a flay knife. So if you have to debone or something out in the field, this is dirty, I need to clean that. But a flay knife, that is so amazing for getting chunks of meat off versus having to use your little knife or anything like that. And then just like in my vinyl harness, I have the Havalon in the pack, but then I also have a fixed blade because those Havalons break so easy. So I always have a fixed blade, flay knife, and a Havalon in the backpack. I just packed the Havalon in the vinyl harness. And then flashlight, I highly recommend. This is a Phoenix LR35R. And this thing is so bright. It gets hot when you hold it up to your hand. I think it's super important that you have a big light in order to kind of help like locate or whatever. I always have this with me. And then also you want to have your headlamp. And then another one that I have found very handy is this little stream light. It's just, maybe 3.5 inches. I pack this every day in my pocket, but so just a little story. A couple of years ago, I got an elk down in a hole and I had to walk up and out, go over the backside, get the truck, and I could get the truck to it to just winch it in. It was on the side of a road, a little 2-track on our private. And, I was able to turn this on and stick it in the nose of the elk, and I had the elk on its back with the antlers in the ground from gutting it, and I could just stick this in its nose, and then I could find it in the truck because it was like midnight, super dark, and it was just the two of us, so left it in the nose, and it was just shining there, so I could just go right to the light. So that was a key thing to have as well.
That's smart.
Now I'm going to kind of dive into on that pack when I'm packing, and that's what I don't like about this KUIU Pro Pack is they didn't really do a design to where you can pack a quarter or even it's super hard to pack the the loins and the back straps and all that, the rib cage meat, all that stuff. It's
Yeah,
super.
that's where I like my pack.
Yeah,
it
your
has
pack
that.
has that pocket for it to go.
It has that shelf where you just
Yep.
move the clips and then it creates like a
Yes,
perfect little
it has the
shelf.
meat shelf. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Kuiu Pro doesn't have the meat shelf, and that I do not like that. I'm gonna have to go to.
I had a
Kafaru or
Kuiu
something.
Pro bag, and
Yeah.
I thought it did that.
Maybe I don't know how to do it too. I don't know.
don't know.
I haven't found a good way to pack a quarter on it though. I know that, and so I'd hate putting it inside the bag because then you got to clean the whole bag and it's an absolute mess. There's blood everywhere. So in order to put it in the bag, or even I put it between the bag and the frame. Now that's how I do it. So I actually take the bag loose and put it between the bag and the frame. But then you get all bloody and stuff. So what I do is I pack white trash bags. Now obviously you don't want your meat in a plastic bag a ton of time. So even with the game bags, it still bleed to you. But if you're just packing it, you're just packing it out, I don't think you stand a chance of getting anything bad about it, having it in a plastic bag. Now, obviously don't use a black plastic bag because it's going to attract heat. I use the white ones and non-scented. You absolutely want non-scented because trust me, just trust me on that one. So non-scented white trash bag, you'll thank me later. Your pack will stay clean and you'll never get the blood on it. So I have 4 of these always in my bag, and it's an absolute lifesaver. So that's kind of my go-to in my system. I'm going to turn it over to Brent and let him kind of go over his.
All right, so starting with the backpack, I was running, like I previously just said, I was running a Kuiu Pro bag of some sort. I think it was a 7,000.
Okay, big boy.
Yeah, it was a big bag. So my philosophy for backpacks are get one bigger than you need. Like with me doing archery hunting, if we saw an opportunity to do a spike camp that we need to move on our backs in a certain zone, we would be willing to do that. So I want the gear to be able to back me on that. And so that's why I go with a big backpack. For me, I think they haul better. Even if you don't have a ton of weight, I think a bigger bag hauls stuff. And the difference between, doing the archery thing is we have to, in our heads, it's like we're going 4 to 5 miles before we're even in the hunting. So it's like you have to have a little bit more with you because it's not like you can just go to a truck or go to camp or whatever. Where like when I have rifle hunted before, my setup is completely, I leave 90% of the stuff in the truck because I could just go get it.
Exactly.
So I go with a bigger bag, and the bag that I've stuck with that I really, really like, it fits my body really well, is the Mystery Ranch Beartooth 80, I think it's called. So this has the meat shelf like we were just talking about. The thing that I don't like about it is it doesn't have a ton of organizational pockets in it. It has a couple, but most of it is just big open space, which, hear me out, I like that because if you're going to haul a tent and a sleeping insulator and a sleeping bag, you want the volume to be able to do that. But the problem is when you're hauling a bunch of small stuff, it's tough. So what I did was I bought smaller Mystery Ranch organizers, basically bags from Mystery Ranch that are on sale. And so now I have like my gut kit in one, some food in the other, and so everything's somewhat organized. I'm not a very organized person, but it's somewhat organized where I don't have to dig through the entire bag, which is a huge bag, to find it. The other thing with that bag and any bigger bag is use the straps to tighten that thing down closer to your body where things aren't flopping around like AJ's talking about. It hauls better and it's quieter.
Yep.
And so I really like that that capability with most of these bigger packs. Now you can do that. I didn't want a smaller pack where it's like, let's pack a tent and everything, and then it's like, well, what are we gonna do? Carry it in our hands? We can't fit it.
Exactly. And that's with this smaller pack that I run, day pack. If I have a gun in it, a spot and scope, and a tripod, it is full. Like,
Right.
I got you got a couple water bottles, you got maybe a sandwich or whatever, but it is full with that. So that's definitely where that 7,000, makes a huge difference because you can actually get all that extra stuff in there. Because not only do you have to have that day pack, but you got to have all that stuff to be up there. So.
Right. So I'm sure I'm gonna forget a few things. I wrote some notes over here, so I'm gonna be looking over there. But so the first thing that I carry is some sort of food. When you're hiking that far, I get hungry like literally every 20 steps. So I need a mountain house And if I'm going to bring a Mountain House, obviously I bring a jet boil and then extra water. If I'm not going to do that, if we're just going to be up there temporarily, then I'll do like just granola bars and dry snacks like that. So number 1 is food. Number 2 is water. When we were hunting last year, it's 90 plus degrees. You're hiking 5 miles with a load on your back. You're going to go through way more water than you need. And my buddy that I hunt with a couple years ago, he got up there and he had a problem with his mule, and he had water, I think, but he didn't have quite enough water. And he got like completely dehydrated, like a little delusional. And I think that was the trip that search and rescue ended up getting called. No one could get a hold of him. So have a lot of water. I'm going through like a gallon and a half a day when I'm doing that. And that's not like I'm trying to drink water. That's just, I'm constantly thirsty. So water's definitely huge.
Well, you're exerting so much more when you're doing this, even, your normal day, you probably don't drink that much, but when you're out there in that heat and you're exerting that much, you're going to see that increase for sure.
Yeah. And just like with water, after you gut an elk, you can wash your hands off or whatever. You always bring extra water, but water is obviously heavy. So like with where we hunt, we don't have sources of water to be able to. In some of the places we hunt, there is, but most of them, it's like we can't bring a water sanitation deal and drink out of a creek or something. It's real dry where we are, so we have to pack all of our water in. So that's sucks. It's heavy. And the thing, before I keep going, the thing that you have to worry about, obviously, for you archery hunters, or I guess it's not just archery, it's anyone that's doing a lot of hiking, something that we have to worry about is weight. So some of the stuff in here, yeah, it's heavy, but I feel like I need it. But weight is definitely like, if you do not need, if you go 5 hunts without it and it's not an essential, like, rain gear or first aid or whatever, take it out. Like if you're bringing like, I don't know, if you're doing the same hunt every day and you're bringing like 90 granola bars and you're not eating any, like take it out. It'll be easier to haul. Anyway, so the next thing is first aid. So I actually use the same first aid kit hunting as I do snowmobiling. It'll have a tourniquet. It has blood clot. It has allergy medicine. It has bandages, gloves, scissors. I mean, the whole nine. And I think getting a good first aid kit is definitely worth it. And then specialize it to what you're doing. So, like for me, I have to have a ton of Advil because if I have a headache or I get dehydrated, that helps me. Or if a joint hurts or whatever, Advil's a good thing to have. I'll also keep lighters in the first aid kit that I don't use unless I've forgotten a lighter, it's fallen out or something like that. So that's just a customized thing. The second piece of safety equipment that I carry, and this is a huge thing, this is like his Zoleo, is the Garmin InReach. I think it's the InReach Explorer. The reason why I carry that one instead of the InReach Mini, most people are carrying the InReach Mini, is because, in my opinion, I want to be able to operate everything that I need to operate on that device without having my phone. So it adds a little tiny bit of weight, but especially for me snowmobiling, I'm going to use the same device. And in the cold, we were talking, I don't know about you guys, but my phone dies a lot in the cold, especially when it's 0 degrees and there's wind on you. So this, with InReach Explorer, it basically eliminates the need for the phone if you had to. I still use the app to text off the InReach with my phone because it's easier. But this way, if we had an absolute emergency, needed gas, my phone was dead, I didn't have a battery pack, I could still communicate to the outside world without. Do you have an SOS button on that?
I do have an SOS button, yeah. So, I mean, if I had to, like, get out to the, the world no matter what, like there is, you've got to pop this little safety up and then you push the little SOS button in there. And they could still find you, but, it's definitely not that, like, get a text message to a buddy or something.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I don't want to have to go last resort when I could have just, like, you're out of gas.
Yep.
You're fine. You're just out of gas.
Yep.
I don't want to have to call SOS.
Yep.
So it's mainly for snowmobiling. If I was just using it for hunting, I'd probably use the InReach Mini or something like that. But for me, snowmobiling, I want something like the InReach Explorer because of, like I said, not having to use your phone, but also it has built-in GPS where I can look at a map. I can check upcoming weather. It's not super convenient like a phone, but worst case, I can do that. The next thing, I don't know if you consider this safety, but having a headlamp. So this, I don't need to go into why this is important. If you're hunting, you kill an animal at sunset, you're going to be out late into the night, and you need to have some sort of light when you're in unfamiliar places. You need to be able to operate your gut kit and everything, or you're going to be screwed. So headlamp, and I like the idea of a flashlight, multiple sources of light, but I'll carry a headlamp and batteries. And the big reason is, like, for me, I can get by with that. And I just feel like for me, carrying it all the miles, it would be heavy.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an added extra weight. And that's, I mean, this flashlight is just phenomenal. Like, you can look them up on YouTube, and it's just amazing. And that's why I pack it. But I'm not doing those multiple miles like you are either. You know, I'm more of the day pack and then back to the lodge at night or whatever. So
yeah, so I use like a tiny black diamond storm headlamp, which I've had really good luck with if the batteries are full. So I always carry extra batteries. The next thing for archery hunting, obviously calls are super important. So I'll go over some of the calls that I use, and most of the calls that I use, I'll keep in my bino harness, but I'll keep the bugle tube in my backpack on the outside of my backpack so I can just reach back, grab it, and then rip a bugle. The next thing is a gut kit. Obviously, if you kill an animal, you're going to have to do something with it. I think a lot of beginner hunters that have never killed anything forget that. It's like, I've taken people out just like messing around. I'm like, do you have a gut kit? Because like, I didn't carry one. I was just messing around coming along.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I'm like, well, what are we going to do if we kill it?
Yeah. What's your plan?
Yeah, I didn't really think about that. So a gut kit's super important. A knife, multiple knives, they go dull pretty fast.
Yep.
I need to get a better knife for this year. Bags, knives, sharpener, if you're not going to use a replaceable thing. And another thing I like is just putting on like examination, like nursing gloves. I like wearing those when you're gutting, especially if it's cold.
Yeah, I just want to show you guys here this little nice knife, this Havalon. So it's just a tiny little knife here, and then from here to here is the blade, and it's a sharp point, and it just clips in right here. And then you just have little changeable ones. Outdoor Edge has it as well, but this is the Havalon, and it's just real small, fits in your hand nice, and then sharp. I mean, it's a surgical knife, so it's super, super sharp. I can do a whole elk with this if I need to, but I always have extra blades in the little kit there, and that way, you know, you're not dueling knife and packing a sharpener and all that stuff. So,
and the blades are affordable, you were saying?
Yeah, that's all very affordable. I mean, I don't know what the prices on these are, but I mean, for like $10, you can get like 100 of these things. So
yeah, it's
pretty affordable.
Yeah. The next thing I carry is you need some sort of toilet paper, or like, you know, for me, the number one thing you have to have in the kit over everything is dude wipes, preferably mint scented, which I know you're not supposed to have scent, but
my goodness,
it's worth it. So dude wipes, and it's not only for the obvious things. It's, I mean, you know, cut yourself, you can wipe the blood up. And how good does a wet rag on your face feel after, you know, 10 miles of hunting in a day? It feels pretty dang good, especially if you're not going to the camp or whatever to get a shower. So the next thing, this is one of those things, we've talked about this before, rainwear.
Yep.
So
I forgot that. Dude, I definitely forgot that.
Yeah, I'm sure people are gonna be like, you don't carry this? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I forgot.
Yeah.
This is most of the stuff I carry. So rain gear, there again, you're gonna haul it like 500 miles. You're gonna wear it for like 5 minutes. But that 5 minutes would have been miserable.
Oh yeah, and it can be a lifesaver. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
that's gonna be the safest thing. Is, you know, hypothermia and everything. That might be the make or break it. You have to have that hard shell outer layer for that rain gear.
Yeah, and if the humidity gets a little bit higher and it's doing really bad in the morning in September, like for archery hunting, you know, you throw that on, and now you're not sitting in wet grass. Well, you're sitting in wet grass, but you're not getting wet. And if this is like we talked about in the first part of, you know, why your hunt sucks, this is why I believe in going multiple layers if you hunt early season, because when you are able to pack these things, they're super, super light, and you can pack them, then it's not that big of a deal to pack them. When you're carrying a huge insulated coat with a hard shell on the outside, that takes up too much space to be worth packing in the early season. That's the way I look at it. So that's why I like having, you know, an insulation layer that I can leave at home until I need it during the season. And you can kind of plan when you're going to need a down coat.
Yeah, you have a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look at the weather, you can plan ahead that, and then I mean, but the more experience you get, you're gonna realize like, okay, I don't need it, for this whole week hunt.
Right.
You'll leave it in the truck or
Like
whatever.
archery, early September, you don't need a down coat, or I don't. We're used to the temperatures up here.
Yeah.
But you never know when you're going to need a raincoat. And how many times have you looked at the forecast, it says no rain, and you get rained on? So especially in the Colorado mountains, it happens all the time. Extra layers. So normally in the morning when I go out, I'm going to have on the most layers that I'm going to have all day. But I'll bring I might bring a hoodie in there or something like that. Or even layers that will help me stay cool later in the day if I'm going to change out. This is in no order, obviously. I'm jumping all around. Something that I need is allergy medicine. We already talked about that. For optics, sometimes I'll carry a spotting scope and a tripod. A lot of the time, I'm like, it's not worth the weight. It's too heavy to be carrying 10 miles, and we're in a zone where we really don't even need to be able to see that far. Our binos are sufficient, so I won't bring it, but a lot of the time I will. So that's kind of all the things I can think that I need in my. Oh, another thing, Band-Aid, the brand Band-Aid makes these blister patches.
The blister aid they call it.
Yeah, blister aid, and dude, that I really like having those.
Those can be an absolute game changer for your hunt. It's like an extra layer of skin. I know there's another brand out there that's like an add a layer of skin or whatever, but the Band-Aid blister aid brand is definitely by far the best for rubbing and wear. It's like an oval shape. You can get them different shapes, but the oval shape one, I always get wear on the back of my heel for somebody like on your Achilles there. And that Band-Aid will stay there for like a month. It's incredible.
Dude, it's insane.
Yeah. No, that's a key thing to make your hunt better. Not something you might throw one in your first aid kit or something, but definitely have some of those around in your hunting gear.
Right.
Yeah.
So the last thing, and there's more that goes into my backpack, but that I feel like is 90% or 99% of the staples. The other really important thing for me is camera gear, because that's what I like to do. So I'll go over this super brief. If you guys have any interest in this, I will make a full podcast on what I carry for camera gear and go into it and tell you what I think and why I do it, but I'll go through this super quick. So what I do is I carry a Peak Designs holster on one of the shoulder straps. And what that does is it allows me to, with an attachment on the bottom of the camera, I can I can lock my camera onto the side of my arm. So if your camera's down at the bottom of your bag under all the stuff that we just talked about, you're never going to use it, and you need to know that. And not only that, if you wanted to use it when an animal's popped out, you're going to be way too loud and you're going to be way too slow. So you need it. There's multiple companies. I think there's one called a Cotton Carrier. I can't remember what the brand was, but I use the Peak Designs. And I also use a Peak Designs tripod as well. So that's how I carry the camera. So what I'll do, it depends on the hunt, but I'll carry a camera with, this is kind of complicated. I'll carry a camera with a big lens, which is for zoom. So I'll carry like a 70 to 200, or I'll carry a 70 to 200 with a 2x teleconverter on it. So that's like equivalent to a 140 to 400. I like the teleconverter because it's really light, and so it just gives me more of like a versatile zoom range. If I was going to want to get a shot at 70 mil, I could. If I want to get one at 400 with the teleconverter, I can, and it's not a ton of weight. This year, I'm thinking about going up to a 200 to 600 lens, just to try to get even closer zoom on some of these videos and pictures. Pictures, it's not that big of a deal. Videos, I like being closer. So I carry one camera that has some sort of zoom lens, and it's been the 70 to 200. Next, I'll carry a camera. If we're hiking in, I'll just carry that camera out. If we're in the elk, I'll carry another camera in my backpack that has a wide angle lens. So I like to have something like a 16 to 35 that is really wide, that I could get shots of. I've even used it for like astrophotography, taking pictures of the stars. Or another thing is like when we're shooting video and I need to talk into the camera, I can't have a lens that's a foot long and it's zoomed in 200 yards. I need to have something that's real wide. So I'll use a 16 to 35 for that. And then that's just kind of a general, a camp lens. You take pictures around camp. 35 mil is good enough for that. And then I was only running one camera because of the weight savings, but then I realized it is really a pain when there's an elk out there and you need to switch lenses. You have the wrong lens. So I went with two cameras. So I'll have one here. I can take it off, lock the other one on, film, and then switch. So I'm really excited about my my hunting camera setup this year. I'll probably move into a 200 to 600 just for a little more wildlife stuff. So that's what I carry. I don't carry a drone because I don't want to I don't want to risk being seen flying a drone. It's illegal to do that, to hunt with a drone. So I'm trying to think what else. Lens covers, polarizers, stuff like that. So that's what I carry when it comes to cameras. Extra memory cards all the time, a few extra batteries. And that stuff is brutally heavy. So that's part of the reason why I want a big pack with a pack frame, is because when you have those huge lenses on a camera, it gets very heavy. So that's what's in my backpack. Moving on to my bino harness. I wear a Sitka bino harness, and I went with it because it has 3 big pockets, and I know a lot of them have them, but I just saw this one. I'm like, I was kind of new to hunting. I'm like, ooh, yeah, that looks cool. So I carry my binos in the main pocket, and then in my other pocket, I'll carry my rangefinder. I wish I could get something like AJ, but I looked at them online, and I don't think I'm going to be getting it unless I win the lottery.
Not this year.
Not this year. So I have that, and then rangefinder, and then in the other pocket, I'll just have like some miscellaneous stuff. So this is where I'll keep like more elk calls, cow calls, the diaphragm calls. That's where I'll keep the windicator, like he was talking about. So all that is you can check wind. So you can shake up this little bottle with a little bit of powder in it, squeeze it, and then a line of powder comes out, and it'll show you which way the wind's blowing instead of having to grab a handful of dirt. It's just easier. Let's see. I'll carry more eye drops in there. And then the other thing that I carry on my bino harness, because it does you no good if it's in the bottom of your backpack, is I'll carry a pistol when we're archery hunting. If I was going to rifle hunt, I don't know if I'd...
Yeah.
Do you carry one, rifle hunting?
I carry one all the time in my bino harness just because it's just like in my bino harness and never really leaves there. I wouldn't necessarily say so much for rifle hunting you would need it. I mean, it's not something I ever really think of for that hunt, but I mean,
I guess if it was really close, you might try it.
Exactly. And then as a guide, like, cause that's what I primarily is as I'm guiding, and I always have that pistol cause otherwise I'm unarmed, so that's where I always have the pistol. But I mean, if I was rifle hunting, I wouldn't necessarily feel like, oh, I need a pistol, cause you always got that rifle. But then again, I pack my rifle most of the time. Even muzzleloader or something like that, I definitely would want a pistol as well. But I always pack my gun in my backpack because I'm not necessarily like actively to get out. And I mean, not that we have grizzlies around here or anything like that, but definitely be aware of where you're hunting and what your predators are. And it might be something you definitely want that pistol, even if you are rifle hunting, and right there on you, close and easy to get to.
Yeah, so I use a holster and then hook that onto the side of my bino harness. And that way it's right there if I ever needed it. Where we hunt, there's a ton of bear. We've seen mountain lion there. We've seen just about everything. So it's just a peace of mind thing. And that's pretty much all that I carry on my bino harness.
Yeah.
My tag I'll put in my bino harness too. Yep. So that's about it. Is that about it from you?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good description of what we got, and hopefully this will help you guys. And definitely these are things that have proven. I mean, I've got multiple years on all of this stuff and kind of refine the system. So if you are getting into it or maybe struggling with something, these things have proven themselves. I have not found a problem with them, and that's why these certain items are in my pack.
Yeah, and for those of you who've reached out to us on Instagram, there's been a handful of you. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate you watching. So keep shooting us questions, and we'll keep making a little pod for you. So until next time.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.
All right, love you guys. Thank you.
See you.
Peace out.